So I gotta drag this over real quick. But today's the 18th. Yesterday was my brother's birthday. Happy birthday, Brad.
Happy birthday, Mr. Hudson.
His name Bradley Christopher. He is now in. No, I did not, because he's in Mexico on his honeymoon. So he doesn't live there. He's just down there for his honeymoon. So we yesterday labeled, and if you do not have this, you need to. These points on the ends. Hey guys, I'm teaching now. Thanks. Unless you want to get up here and teach. So those outer points, we're just going to use cards so you was paying attention yesterday. Those outer points marked with the red arrows. Derek, what would we call those outer points with the red arrows?
The minimum and the max.
The minimum and the maximum. So make sure that you have those labeled with min. I want that to be red. Min. Max. The blue arrows are pointing to what? Josh.
They are pointing to the they're like some. I know it's on the. Can I look at my notes?
Yeah,
Okay.
you wrote it down yesterday. I'm just trying.
Quartiles.
So which ones? This one is quartile.
Quartile 1 and quartile 2.
Not quartile 2. This one is actually quartile 3.
Oh yeah.
Because the
middle one is
green.
quartile 2.
Now, what else is the middle called aside from quartile 2, Sarah? It is also the median of the entire data set. So, we then were left with the question, find the range and the interquartile range. Notice how I colored those intentionally. When we look at the range, Atticus, we're looking at the entire range of the data. How do I find that out? Like, so let's make this simpler. If I was looking at range of ages at Phoenix, how would I find the range of ages? So range is talking like how widespread something is, how far apart things are. So like another synonym for range would be difference. Like what's the difference in the data? Saul can help you out behind you if you want. If you're stuck.
You collect data and then.
We got our data. So data's already been collected. So you're right, but we did that. Then
Find the median.
we're talking about the range. How do we find the range? So guys, if you can't remember this,
Find the range. You add up and then
No.
divide by.
so again, you're trying to find the average. We did range at the end. Flip back in your notes. Flip back in your notes. Stop stabbing in the Stop stabbing in the dark.
I'm not this time.
Stop.
You added.
Stop. Just
You do it
stop.
in order.
Just stop. Scroll back up to range or look back up. It is the max minus the min. So down here where we have range, please write out range. I should see everybody writing right now. Max minus min. So I'm just going to shorthand it to say R equals. So we have to decide what values our max and our min are. Did we determine these yesterday? Did we approximate them?
That would be 45. 145.
Probably 44, I'd likely say. So if our minimum is 144, our max is 202. Hey guys, what are we arguing about?
We were arguing about who was right.
Oh, about what?
That answer.
Okay, so when you do not have strict labels on the graph, there could be multiple acceptable answers. So depending on how you look at this as whether it's 202 or 203 or where you think that is, same thing down here, you might get slightly different answers. But if we do it with the values that we have, we're going to take 202 minus 144, and we get that our range is
150, 158. No, 58.
58.
58. How close am I?
Hey, don't be a jerk about it.
Okay.
Nobody likes
I'm sorry that I was close.
cocky people.
Oh.
Unless you're peacocking, you got a cool tail. We have a route on the rock wall called Peacock because it has peacock tape. Like the peacock feathers.
Oh.
So interquartile range. Sarah, how do we find the interquartile range? What does inter mean? No, it doesn't. Class, what's inter mean? Between. So this is saying, how much is there between the quartiles? And it wants the entire range of the quartiles. So which quartiles do we use for the IQR? What subtraction are we going to do? We know with range we do a subtraction. Yeah, quartile 3 minus quartile 1. So please rewrite that, the Q3 minus Q1, so you are aware. We got to identify where Q3 is. Drop a little arrow. Like 188, 189, what do you guys think? 187. Nah, I'd say 188 at least.
Yeah, 188.
Let's go with 188. And drop an arrow on the left side of your box. Probably 55. Like 155. I really think that's in the middle.
I really
It
do
looks
too.
like it's in the middle. So whatever you decide, you might get an answer slightly off of this. But like on Schoology, that'll be easier to determine what the exact value of Q3 and Q1 is. So we take,
the difference in the numbers.
and this is nice because 88 minus 55 is nice.
So 33.
It is just 33. And you do not need to write out interquartile. It's a giant word. Write out IQR. That's how we abbreviate it. Everybody in the math world knows what IQR means. What that is telling you is the middle 50% has a range of 33. The entire data set has a range of 58. So, if you'd like to understand this better and jot a little note, this is the entire range, and this is just the middle 50%. So the IQR will always be less than the range. If you somehow get your range is less than your IQR, you've done something wrong. Any questions on what we did here to calculate either of those? So when we talk about describing the variability, so these are hot springs, right? It's like a hot tub, but it's natural. How would you talk to somebody about the variability of the temperatures?
Depends on how good the world's feeling today.
Okay, mathematically,
Okay.
come on, let's stay on topic.
So it would probably vary, like how would it vary?
If they asked, hey,
Probably be
describe
around the
variability.
same thing all the time.
So we could say, in total, you might see a 58-degree change in the hot springs, but normally, the middle 50% of the time, that's like your normal, it only varies by 33 degrees. So you could say, in normal, it's between 155 and 188, which is way hot, because
Wow.
212 is boiling.
That's why.
So this is really hot because it's like molten lava heated.
Don't get in.
Some people do. You just don't stay in very long.
Well, I bet they got like skin cancer or something.
I mean, it's natural. It's just water. It's like spring water,
Very
And
hot.
just heated by natural occurrences. Flip to the back
I
or the
put
next
myself
page.
with a bowl of
and
macaroni
try to
when
got
it's
it.
super
I need
hot.
to-
You're telling me when they jump in a pool, it's not hot.
Josh, you need to keep moving. You need to quit talking over me, please. Flip to the back. Try this on your own. Be careful. This data does not start in order. So they only ask for IQR. I want the range and IQR. So find the range and the IQR. I'm going to reboot Smart Ink really quick. help me put these in order? Oh. You got it, Ellie? What's the first one I should have? 6. Then
23.5.
ooh, that's a big jump. Then
25.
then
25.
then
27.
and then.
32.5.
So, Brady, Captain Deep Sigh, if I asked you to find the range of this data, what would you do?
Multiply 6. No, 32.5 minus 6.
To find the range of the data?
Wait. Isn't it the minimum? Max minus the minimum?
Yeah, so what did you just tell me to do?
Minus.
No, you didn't. You said multiply.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Inner theorem to validate that I'm not crazy.
Well,
Okay.
the video can tell us.
So, I
Instant
agree with your
replay.
second answer. So, tell us again.
You can
What do we
edit
do?
the video.
Josh, stop. It's really rude when your classmates are trying to talk, or I'm trying to talk, and we can't get a word out because you won't stop talking. Do you understand that? Can I stop correcting you? I really don't like correcting your behavior, but you make me happy. Brady, what were you trying to say?
32.5 minus.
We take the max minus, not multiply, by the min, and that will give us 26.5. So that's pretty big. The range in depths of hot springs. So, guys, these hot springs are heated from the ground beneath them and from like steam vents that come out of that ground. Would you probably want to be in a 6 foot deep hot spring?
6 foot deep?
Yeah, like you're standing on the bottom. Like the water would be like here for me. Would you want to stand on the bottom of a hot spring?
No.
Yeah, pretty bad idea. At least I've never been there, but it seems like to me that'd be a bad idea. But notice the giant gap here. So now, and this is a little bit harder, who thinks they can walk me through finding the IQR, the interquartile? I'm going to keep it. Katie?
Okay, so you said 27 minus 23.5.
Now, how do you know that those are your quartile 3 and quartile? Like, how do we determine what our quartiles are before we start? What's the first step?
You get the quartile 1 and quartile.
Not yet. We first have to break our data into low high.
Yeah, you get. Well, you set up the lowest and then highest, and then you.
How do we break our data into low high? How do we do that? How do we make that split?
I don't understand.
What do we find first? Anyone know what I'm asking for? The middle. We first have to find what's the middle. How do I split low high in half? So how many data points do we have here? I'm going back to Katie, by the way. So Katie, we have 6 data points, right? Where's my middle in 6? It's an even number. So my middle, 6 divided by 2 becomes 3. And my middle is apparently right here, but there's no number. It's just between the numbers. So that quartile 2, or your median, well, what's between 25 and 25, Katie?
Well, since they're the same number, it's 25.
It is 25. Now, here's the trick. It doesn't use either of them because it fell right between. So my lower half has 3 numbers. My upper half has 3 numbers. I find the middles again. So Katie, now I want to find the middle of my lower half. What's the middle of my lower half? So my lower half is now these 3. My upper half is now these 3.
You get the like you subtract the minimum of the section.
We don't have to do that yet. So we're just finding the middle again. So if you have 3 things,
Oh, you get the middle.
yeah, which number's in the middle then?
23.5.
Yeah, so this is our quartile 1. And in the upper set, which number's in the middle? 27. This is quartile 3. Perfect. Very good. Any questions on what we just did? Did you grab our notes? They're right there on the table. We're still in 15.1, but we're going to get to 15.2. So do you have yesterday's notes with you?
Yeah.
Sweet. Any confusion here? We find the middle, split it, find the middle of the low, find the middle of the high. Nada? Bueno? Good? So then, the interquartile range, just do the subtraction. So off to the side somewhere, we're going to do 27 minus 23.5, and that will give me 3.5. Holy cannoli. My entire range was 26.5, but the middle 50% only ranges by 3.5. Most of my hot springs have similar heights. There's a rare, really shallow one. This is what we would call an outlier. And there's a kind of rare, really deep one. But that's not super rare because it's got one close to it. But this 6 is really rare because it's so far away. So the things that are so far away, you'll find more out about outliers in 8th grade, but when a data point is far away from the other ones, we would call it an outlier. It lies outside the normal data. Questions? Yeah.
Now, when you say it's rare, do you mean like the most heights, they're just in the 25?
Yeah, like the data that we collected, most of them were in the 20s, right? Like all of them except for 2 were in the 20s. And this 32 is close to my other ones. This 6 is really far away. That's why we say it's kind of like an outlier. It's kind of unique. It'd be like if we had an 8-foot tall 7th grader, right? That would be unique. That would be odd. Or if we had a 3-foot tall 7th grader, that would be unique. That would be, most of you guys are like 5 feet tall. Yeah, like that's probably your average. 4.5 to 5 feet tall is probably the average height here. All right. We want to find the median and the range of each airline here. And we'll chat really quick about IQR, but you don't have to do that on here. So try this on your own. Try the median and the range. Be careful, because we have to have things ordered. So try this out. Median and range. Some people need to rewrite them and put them in order. Other people are able to just kind of move things around in their head. Remember, median is middle. Range is difference, how much variance it has. Piper, can you help me put beta air in order? You start me with the lowest. Yeah. So, and if you've never flown, it's expensive. $3.99 is the cheapest flight for beta air. What's the next one? Yep. Then. Yep. And then. And then. We're out of data, right? That's the end. So, park air, which makes me laugh. So I'm like, you don't want to park in the air. You can't fly very easy. I don't Ella, can you put these in order for me? Good. For park air, just put them in order.
Yeah.
398, and then.
409.
Okay.
And then 428. 447. And 465.
So we went to talk about the range of these airlines. The range tells you how much that price varies. So if your prices are closer, you'll have a smaller range. If your prices are far apart, you'll have a bigger range. Caroline, how do I find the range for beta air?
You subtract 399 from 722.
Yep. And that gives us, hey, let's imagine for a minute that this was 400. What would 722 minus 400 be? Guys,
Oh, mine is.
the minus. The 2's drop down. 7 minus 4, 322. But we need to go one more. We're at 323 for their range. And our range here, Caleb, how do we find our range for park air?
We would do 465 minus the 398.
Yep. And again, imagine for a minute if this was 400. That would give you a difference of 65. 2 more is a difference of 67. Which airline has a tighter price bracket or price range? Okay? Park Air, their range is only $67. Which airline has the cheapest flight? What? Park? Not by much. But which airline has the most expensive flight? Well, okay, multiple people already said it. And by a lot.
Better be luxury.
So, who would you probably choose?
Whoa.
Park
They
Air.
are nice.
Depending on the review.
Depending on the review and if they have scorpions on their plane or whatever. But, yeah, we'd probably deal with that. Now, hold on. So we found the range, but what about the median? So the middle price, right? So Jaheim, what about the middle or the median prices here? What's the median price for Beta Air? So median means middle.
The middle.
How many prices do I have to work with? 5, right? So if I start crossing things off, there's one crossed off, there's one crossed off, there's one crossed off, there's one crossed off. I took 2 off the bottom, 2 off the top. I'm left with my median of 402. So my middle price, here's 402. What about my median for Park Air? Yeah, it's 428. So there's our median. So, whoa, wait a minute. If we do our price check based on the middle prices, well, now it looks like Beta Air is better. So this is where consumer, like you as the consumer, have to compare some things and make some choices. And like Sebastian said, reviews come in a lot. I like to read lots of reviews before I make a decision that costs me hundreds of dollars. Because the last thing you're going to do is be sitting on that plane wishing you'd flown somebody else, and you're stuck for like 3 hours with no peanuts and no drink and nothing.
It's terrible. You need peanuts on air.
I need my peanuts.
No,
Only
mine's
20
great.
is what you get.
Here comes Mama Bear over here. You need a healthy snack.
So, check out this data list. So Data Girl stands, if you've ever flown and if you've ever checked a bag,
Yeah.
you gotta wait for your bag to come back at baggage claim. And hopefully it does come back out the magical event. And so Data Girl stands there and she catalogs the colors of the bags. A good strategy is make your bag unique so nobody else walks away with it.
I know.
So, what color do you think Data Girl would choose if she wanted her bag to be easily spotted? Sebastian? Why?
It's the least color you could find.
I was gonna say purple.
And this gives you a small intro into probability. The reason, hey, I need your attention. The reason that Sebastian said red is the probability of choosing red. So you can write like probability if you want. But please write P of red. will be the red over all of them. So Sebastian identified there's only one red. How many were there total? There's only a 9%, approximately, 9% chance of a red suitcase. Less than 10%. Less than 1 out of every 10.
Is that true?
Yeah, well, I don't know, maybe. Depends on where you collect your data. So every different set of data will have its own uniquenesses. So another way that you can make your suitcase more unique is like get one with polka dots, or get one with stripes, or get one that's multicolored.
Or
I get one that has a rainbow.
You know what the mathematician in me did? The mathematician in me said, what's unique? What makes things easy to spot? Polka dots, stripes, colors, whatever. You know what suitcase I bought?
SpongeBob suitcase.
A math suit.
My suitcase is literally a multicolored, polka dotted, and striped. It literally has polka dots and stripes at the same time. And it has a tag on it that says, "This is not your bag." So if people try to pick it up, it's like, oh, well, it's not mine.
No,
So,
I like the one
moving
that just
on.
says back on.
That's hilarious.
Moving on to 15.2. I've never lost my bag while traveling. It's pretty broken at this point.
I have a zebra bag.
That kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah. All right.
I have SpongeBob on mine.
What? What is a population? Who can remind us what a population is? Ellie? Yeah, it's like a group of people that we're looking at sampling, right? So it's whatever group we choose. So the dangerous thing, we've been used to saying it's all of the people. Right, it's all of the people in that group. But what if I make my 7th grade one population, I make my 8th grade another population? So I've got one group of Phoenix students, but I can break that population into other groups. So I now make my population all 7th graders, and a separate population that's all 8th graders. So when we're working with only one population, we use one population when we have a question about a trait for the entire group. So what sort of question could we ask to the entire all of Phoenix? And I want you to notate on your paper really quick. We're going to say our one population is all of Phoenix. What could we ask? What could we be collecting data on that 7th grade versus 8th grade would not really separate things? Like, it's just one question we're asking everyone. Ellie?
Are you master?
Sure.
Yeah.
Are you master? I love it. People watching the video are going to be like, what? Are you
master?
Huh?
That's a thing.
All A's. For you people not at a mastery program.
Wait, who watches that isn't at a mastery program?
I don't know. Anybody could. They'll be there forever. Katie?
Really put ads.
I was actually talking
Yeah.
to my brother about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be
He's
really.
8, and I told him what mastery was. He says he's master.
That's awesome. But that's always, it's continually changing, right? As you learn something new, then you gotta get. So when we want to compare, highlighter, underline the compare. I don't like purple, but I do like purple.
I
It's
like
not as a
purple's the
highlight.
only good
I
color.
was correcting myself. I do like purple. It's like not to highlight. So we want to compare two groups. Hold up, I need you to notate this. We want to compare two groups. Let's make our two groups 7th grade versus 8th grade.
7th is win because 7th is better.
Well, it's not about win, it's about collecting data.
And then next year.
So, what question could you ask that might have some variance 7th grade versus 8th grade?
You like the teachers.
No.
Yeah,
We have different coaches.
grade? Yeah, so that's the problem. You have different teachers. That's
Do you like the Friday schedule?
sure, like, yeah, I do like Friday creative options. Sebastian?
Wait, is this question we have to ask to the 8th grader?
To we're doing 7th grade and 8th grade. We're now going to have two separate populations. We're going to have 7th grade data, we're going to have 8th grade data, and we're going to look at where is there overlap, where are there only 7th grade characteristics, where are there only 8th grade characteristics, Or the two populations might totally overlap. We don't know. Saul?
How many classes do they have with you? Because we may
Yeah,
have
but
classes.
I want a question that is like can have various answers.
Do you
so it'll
like
either
the
be
lockers?
0 or 1,
Do
right?
you like
Class-
mastery?
I want a variety of answers. Caleb?
Do you like connections?
But again, that's a yes or a no. We need multiple answers. I'm just going to help you guys out. This is real easy.
No.
Do you think there are some heights that are unique to 7th graders? Do you think there's some heights unique to 8th graders?
Yeah.
Do you think there's some heights that are shared?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guarantee if we line you up by height, the entire school in the gym, it will not be all 7th graders and then all 8th graders. That's impossible. You guys have some overlap in what heights you are. It's unless you have a very small population. Like, dude, we've got 80 7th graders, 80 8th graders. There's no chance that all 7th graders are shorter than all of the 8th graders. And I know a couple of really short 8th graders, too.
Me too.
Me too, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I do.
And then, multiple populations, I could compare Phoenix 7th grade, 8th grade versus Kilbourne 7th grade, 8th grade versus McCord 7th grade, 8th grade. So our multiple populations here could be all Worthington middle schools. Yeah, Ellie? Sure. How many what? Yeah! That would be interesting data to collect because then you could look at how, like, what percentage of the population in Worthington are only children? What percentage have younger siblings or older siblings? That would be interesting data. There might be an outlier with like a dozen siblings.
That doesn't.
Hey,
I
I
know.
know.
Have you not seen the TV shows on like Lifetime or
19 kids
TLC
counting.
where it's like Octomom or whatever? It's crazy.
Octomom.
This woman had 8 kids.
Yeah.
Well, not at once, but one after the other after 8 of them. Octuplets.
There's one who had
That would
six
suck if they
girls
came
at
all
one
out
time.
at once.
Yeah, but like, so that's septuplets, right? 6 at the same time. Alright, back with me. Back with me.
Then you have 5 children.
Baby, why?
I got stuff. I got cold. So I tried to put my arms
A teacher gave a test. A teacher gave a test to each of her 3 math classes, so 3 different classes. To answer each question, should the teacher consider the class as 3 populations or as 1? So now you have to look at, like, if I was asking a question, do I want to split the populations to compare them? Or do I want to put them all together to have one set of data? So, take a moment, try it on your own. Write just 1 or 3 beneath them. 1 single population or 3 to keep them split. Or you could write together or separate, but I figure 1 and 3 is quicker.
You don't care about them. Do they not love you?
They're fun. I wish I would have invented that. I used to play with bearings and stuff. I rode inline skates when I was a kid. We had a skate park in Coshocton. So I had to change my bearings and stuff when they got dirty or whatnot. Like,
Play with them.
I could have invented that if I was just more creative. It's just 4 ball bearings. It's like somebody took apart a pair of skates and put them back together like that. Because that's how many ball bearings it takes for a skate, like 1 skate.
So why do they cost so little when you have to buy a whole pack of skates? Or
Ball bearings are not expensive.
oh,
So BBs for a BB gun, they're called BBs because those are ball bearings.
oh,
And there's
So
some
ball bearings are
edible
cheap.
ones.
Like you can get really high quality ones that cost more, but I doubt that those are like super high quality. Really good ones are like made out of ceramic or different materials. So
Really delicious.
Olivia, if the teacher wanted to know what was the highest score overall, is she gonna have 1 population or multiple? So yeah, if we're looking overall with everyone, she would want 1 population because she just wants the highest score out of all kids. Ryan, if we wanted to look at who's the top scoring class, we're going to have all in 1 population or separated by class? Yeah, so we're going to use 3 populations here.
Not too high.
Brady, if we wanted to know the average or the mean score in each class? 3 populations. Ellie, if we wanted to know who is the top scoring student in each class? We're still going to keep them split by class. What is the mean score of all students? Acacia, how would we do that?
1.
Because all of the students means we have to keep them merged. And Leah, how does the range of scores compare among classes? Yeah, because we'd have to look at how widespread. Maybe one class had really widespread data because I had a really top scoring student and he's just smart on his own, but I didn't teach it very well, so most of them scored low. And another class, it was like I was on my game, I taught really well, all the scores are really close together on the high end, or maybe they're close together on the low end, and maybe we all need to go back. Like, so when it's widespread, it becomes kind of more interesting. You're like, why did that happen? You have to kind of investigate, why is my data so spread out?
Is that what you have to do?
Yeah, I mean, when I identify, that's one of the reasons that we go, like sometimes we'll go over tests all together as a class, is if I identify that I feel like there's something I didn't teach well enough, that's not a you problem, that's a me problem. Right? Like if I didn't teach it well enough, if I see that most people are getting it wrong, that's a me problem. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, so then I go back and I fix that problem. When it's a you problem, then you can kind of control fixing that. Try this on your own. We did really well on that last one. I'll give you like a minute on this maybe.
Wait, which one?
Is it the same thing?
Got it. Yeah, so the school nurse is looking at 6th, 7th, and 8th grades. Same thing. Do we want to merge them to one population or keep them separated by grade?
Can we just write merge or set?
Or you can write 1 or 3. But yeah, whichever you want. Question or answer? Solomon, what do you got for me? Huh?
1, 3, 3.
1, 3, 3. See, we can verify. How many students have perfect vision in the school? That'd be everybody together. What is the mean eyesight score for each grade? Would be 3 pops. And do students' eyesight scores change more between 6th, 7th, 7th, 8th? Or yeah, that's, yeah. I was going to then go 8th, 9th, but I realized we only had 6th, 7th, and 7th, 8th. We would love if Phoenix would be 6, 7, 8, and 9. That'd be the
Yes.
But if
Six,
we
seven,
probably will
8.
never be able to get 9. We might be able to get a 6th grade program in here eventually.
I'm so mad.
Isn't that junior high? If we have 9th grade in you.
So
Would that
where
be
I
in
went to
high
school,
school?
junior high was 7th, 8th grade. That was instead of middle school, it was just called junior high. But like 9 through 12, that's high school.
Why?
It's on a
All right. Why can one population in a study be considered more than one population in another study? We already kind of answered that, but who can put it in your own words? Why can one population, Phoenix, be considered more than one population? I don't know, 7th, 8th, boys, girls. That's all?
It can be grouped into subcategories.
What would determine whether I group it or not?
Whether or not you have something you want to compare with something else.
Ooh, so the something that you're trying to compare, how do you figure out that information?
Whether or not it says that you're trying to compare, names of 7th graders and names of 8th graders.
Ooh, so it depends on the
Most popular baby names of the year.
question.
Top 100. Yeah.
So the question is what determines, do I keep my population together or do I separate it? And that is all the time we have for today. We will pick up right here tomorrow. Your homework is live. You should be able to do it with very little difficulty.
I had difficulty last night.
Well, because we hadn't even finished that lesson yet.
You weren't supposed to do it last night.
Yeah, I told you. No, I said you can try, but you don't have to do it.
No, my mom made me